So as I mentioned yesterday, the beat reporters had an opportunity to speak with President of Baseball Operations Buster Posey on a variety of different subjects, chief among them being the team's decision to promote top prospect Bryce Eldridge from AA Richmond to AAA Sacramento. And once we wrapped up our line of questioning, once we finished up and we were leaving his office, MLB.com's Maria Guardado was joking with Posey and said something to the effect of, "So we're going to see Dominic Smith here tomorrow." Smith, of course, had elected free agency after spending time with the New York Yankees AAA affiliate and was a free agent, free to sign with whichever team he pleased. Posey kind of laughed and looked down, and that was the end of that. And lo and behold, today has arrived, and Dominic Smith indeed is a San Francisco Giant. So I will be asking Maria, once I wrap up this video, to ask me if I will now be seeing an additional $500,000 in my bank account. And Dominic Smith, of course, wasn't the only new face on the Giants today. That also pertains to Daniel Johnson. That also pertains to Andrew Knizner. 3 new faces, and if there are 3 new faces on the team, that means there are going to be 3 players who are no longer on the team, and those 3 are Lamont Wade Jr., Sam Huff, and Christian Koss. Koss was optioned to AAA Sacramento, while Lamont Wade Jr. and Sam Huff were designated for assignment. And when we had an opportunity to talk to Posey prior to today's game, he talked at length about the decision to not just designate Wade in particular, but of all the moves that the team had made. But when talking about Wade specifically, he said that it admittedly was very difficult. He felt he wanted to do that personally, to personally tell him after last night's game that the team would be moving in that direction. And of course, Posey had the opportunity to play with Wade in 2021, the first season that Wade became a Giant. He was there on hand when Wade had that incredible season, earned the Willie Mack Award, earned the moniker in Late Night Lamont because of I think it's the 6 game-tying or go-ahead hits in the 9th inning or later, which at the time was the most that any player had in approximately 40 years. And it's easy to think back to what Wade's production has been, not only this season, but even dating back to the second half of last season. His final season in a Giants uniform ends with him having a WAR, at least this season, of -1.1. I think that's according to Fangraphs. But it's hard to, at the same time, forget the contributions that he did make to this team in the time we were here. But, of course, given the state of the Giants offense, how entering today they'd only scored 32 runs in their last 16 games, how they hadn't scored more than 4 runs in a single game dating back to May 16th. And, of course, given how Wade had not been able to consistently produce for the team up to this point in time, that was the difficult decision that the Giants had to make. As far as Dominic Smith, he's going to be in that first base mix along with Casey Schmidt and Gerard Encarnacion. We can be seeing a little bit of mixing and matching. We could possibly see Smith and Mike Yastrzemski in the lineup against right-handed pitchers, and Gerard Encarnacion in right field and Casey Schmidt at first base against left-handed pitchers. Manager Bob Melvin did say that having Encarnacion back, as well as Johnson, as well as Smith, will enable the Giants to give some of their regulars a little bit more rest. Yastrzemski being one of them. He's played pretty much every game during this 16-game stretch. It'll give Wilmer Flores an opportunity to get off his feet. It'll also give Jung-Hoo Lee an opportunity to get a day here or there, given Johnson's ability to play center field. And Andrew Knizner will kind of take that role as the backup catcher, and he is slated to start tomorrow, as the Giants are going to try to even up the series, and they will have the opportunity to even up this series because they won tonight's game 6-5, erasing a 5-0 deficit on the first day that Johnson and Smith and Knizner, these new faces, are in, or rather on, the active roster. And through the first 5.5 innings, or at least going into the bottom of the 5th inning, this looked as if it was going to be another tough loss for the Giants. Kyle Harrison was on the mound. He allows 2 runs in the first inning. He allows 3 more in the 5th inning. His final pitch of the night goes to Gavin Sheets, who hit a grounder that deflected off his left elbow, rolled into right field, and enabled the Padres to score 2 runs. And Harrison was diagnosed with a left elbow contusion. The Giants will monitor him going forward and see whether he would be able to make his next start, which would likely fall on Tuesday against the Colorado Rockies in Denver, following the off day on Monday. But the Giants fall into a 5-0 deficit. And given how poorly the Giants offense had been performing over the course of the last 2 weeks, it was safe to assume that the Padres would cruise to a victory. They would take the first 3 games of the series and be in position to sweep the Giants on Thursday, but that's not how this one unfolded. And they were able to score the game's first run due in large part to Johnson, who singled, stole second base, and then was driven in by Patrick Bailey, who is now rocking a 5-game hitting streak and has 3 doubles and 6 total hits over the course of that 5-game hitting streak. They cut the deficit to 2 runs in the bottom of the 6th inning when Matt Chapman hits a 2-run homer that just barely clears the left field fence. It looks like left fielder Brandon Lockridge was going to scale the fence and bring it back, but just wasn't able to bring it in. And then the Giants deliver their knockout blow, so to say, in the bottom of the 7th inning when Heliot Ramos ties up the game with a bases-loaded double that one hops the wall, and then Jung Hoo Lee follows him up by driving in the go-ahead run with a sacrifice fly, giving the Giants a 6-5 lead that they would never give up. That being said, the Padres did position themselves for the second time in as many nights to spoil another Giants lead in the 9th inning. Ryan Walker was assigned the 9th inning tonight, with Camilo Duvall getting the night off after blowing the save last night. He allows the leadoff single to Fernando Tatis Jr. Luis Arias drives a deep ball into right center field that Johnson's able to track down and catch. If that ball lands, Tatis is easily scoring from first base, at least if it doesn't bounce over the right field fence. But then Manny Machado follows that up with it's awarded a single, but it's on a fly ball to shallow left field where Willie Adames and Heliot Ramos converge on it. They almost collide with each other, and neither of them are able to make the catch. So that puts runners on first and second with 1 out. Manager Bob Melvin ends up going to Randy Rodriguez, who's able to strike out Jackson Merrill, but in the middle of that at-bat, Tatis steals third, Machado steals second, so now you have second and third with 1 out against the dangerous part of the Padres lineup. But Rodriguez is able to strike out Merrill swinging and then get Gavin Sheets to hit into a game-ending pop-out and deliver the first save of his Major League career and deliver a much-needed win for the Giants, given the shakeup that occurred this morning, given how these last couple weeks have gone. The streak of not being able to score more than 4 runs in a game is over. Johnson finishes his first game as a Giant with 2 hits, 2 runs scored, the steal, and the great catch in right center field. And now they'll return to this field in a little more than 12 hours to try to avoid the Padres taking the series 3-4 and try to escape this 4-game set with an even split.
What's going through your mind on the catch there? I mean, the ball gets hit, just kind of...
Gotta go. I had to run. I hit it, and then we were playing kind of in. I was running. I'm like, I have to run. I have to go. So that was my only thing in my mind. Go get to the ball.
I know. Did you think as you were sprinting to it, you had a shot?
I mean, I knew I had a pretty good chance. I mean, it wasn't guaranteed, but I didn't keep running to get to that ball, so that's what I did.
In a game like this, get an offense going. I mean, just getting some runs played and coming back from an early deficit like that, just sort of spark it up.
100%. Yeah, I mean, it definitely got that spark. Once we get one guy gets going, everybody just contributes, and that's the name of the game right there. Everybody contributes and just passes the baton. So that's what we did tonight.